Hey, you found us. This is the Voiceover Gurus podcast. Welcome.
Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Voiceover Gurus podcast with Brian Lee as my co-host. Today, we had so much to talk about last time that we just continued talking. So here is part 2. I'll stop talking. But like they've taken your voice, they manipulate it, and the person is like, I'm being held against my will. Please send such, that kind of thing. That's where it'd be good to have a safe word.
By the way, 11 Labs, to do the exact voice, they opened my microphone on my computer and made me read a random phrase because they didn't want somebody else to steal my voice. Like if you took 10 years of Brian Lee and said, I want to make an exact duplicate of Brian Lee, not a clone, but but not what they call cloning, which is not perfect, but their main system, and you sent it in, right?
Right.
When I fed it in, I'm like, there we go. And it goes, yeah, we need to know this is really you.
Oh.
And it goes,
how does it prove it?
It says, can we open your microphone and have you read a phrase? If not, we're not going to do it. So I went, okay.
Interesting.
And it opened the microphone and it went, read this now. And it gave you. So I couldn't take Peter Thomas and take his voice and clone him completely because I can't. He's not alive, so I can't use. I can't make him say something. They would know. Maybe I'll clone him and use their own system to throw it back at them. I'm sure they thought about that. We know this is our synth voice. So
I read an article this morning that there's this company that's going to be selling TVs that are also going to have like a separate monitor that is showing advertisements and stuff. But in addition to it, the TV has a microphone that can record you, listen to everything, submit it to God knows who, and it has a camera.
That doesn't surprise me. I saw something
Who the
today.
hell wants that in their house, though?
It was a clip. Joe Rogan did a clip on. I read the terms in my TikTok agreement. Oh. It's like, this is what TikTok, this is what the application on your phone is doing, and you agree to it, and you don't want to read what it does.
It's bad.
It's basically, it records every keystroke you type in, so all your passwords it knows. It knows where you go, what account, if you go somewhere and you put in a username and password, it knows the link because it knows where you went. It knows where you go. It knows your IP address. It knows your keystrokes. It knows what operating system you're using and how many. I just looked at it and just went, ugh. And then I tried to rationalize that by going, I'm one guy. Why would they care about me? There's billions of people on Earth with TikTok. Why me? They don't care about me.
You might be that
until one day
guy.
one of their bots gets to my name, loads every website, my banking information, and dumps all my passwords into it until it gets it. If you're stupid like me, you have like 4 passwords that you use on everything, and they'll hit it eventually.
4.
So yeah.
So back to trailers real quick. What are your most favorite lines that you've said
in a world?
And what's the most common? What's the most common?
Rolling Stone calls. Vanity Fair calls. Rotten Tomatoes scores. It's always like Rolling Stone calls it a masterpiece, the best film of the year, the #1 comedy of the year. Bring the whole family. It's all the same 8 lines. You'll walk out of the theater dancing. This is a movie to see. This is a movie to see in a theater.
Oh, right.
A movie so fantastic, you'll want to see it in a theater. You'll want to go to the movies. All these trailers in this 4 lines.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't talk of anything about the movie or the actor.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is amazing. Matt Damon gives the best performance of his career. It's just, why don't we start a trailer company? Just start one. But that's the scary part.
Yes.
Because they'll just load in 8 AI lines and make 1,000 trailers with it.
Right, right. Because contained within the trailer, for the few lines you may have, a lot of them are similar, right?
How to promote it. I mean, I don't know if the union's going to get involved with it. I don't know if SAG-AFTRA is going to get involved saying, look, you're a union shop. You can't use AI.
Right.
But
put regulations on it.
I think that's probably going to happen. I think that people are just trying to figure out what legally they can do because AI is not a human. So it's the representation of humans, human actors, So if you're not using a human actor, then how could the union have a right over, have the right to tell you to use a human? Although they kind of do that now. You have to use a human if you're a signatory. You have to use humans, you can't use non-union humans. You have to use union humans. And now it's going to be what?
But in the non-union world, nothing's regulated.
But in the non-union world, nothing is regulated. And if a voice is synthetically created and generated, it's not even a person. So how do you regulate something that isn't real? Well,
maybe the process is just regulated. The process of the creation of the synthetic voice.
Maybe it probably have to go into some kind of, I don't know. It's above my pay grade. I just don't know what they're going to do.
Shifting gears slightly, I was thinking about this the other day. When you wash dishes or do something with water, you start to pontificate about elements of your life. Kind of like in your shower, water-based.
Bathtub. Existential crisis, yeah. Why am I here? Look at my hand. Oh,
I flashed to the early 90s I was manning the phones at the radio station and you were trying to get a hold of me. And I finally called you back from like the office phone or something. And you were screaming at me.
I was?
Yeah. And I have
Why? What did you do?
I have a feeling it's because I didn't call you back in a timely manner for maybe a job.
Right.
And so this is like the beginnings of my lessons.
Screaming at you? Is that really
Yes, you were. Back then you were. You were hot-headed.
Maybe.
You were passionate and you were
there was, I don't know if it was personal as much as it was professional.
Yeah, right? I'm sure it was professional. Yeah, but I remember just sitting there. It's like I have a visual of you.
I mean,
you were like it was just like, you need to be my mom. And I was just like, what the hell is going on?
I called you, were you on the air or something?
No, I wasn't. No, I was working in the business office and they had me go up to the front because somebody had to go to lunch. So I'm like, all right, I'll answer the phones. And I think that's how you finally got
K-Rock,
me.
Linda.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's what it was.
I don't remember that. And I wouldn't mind you reminding me. It was about this and it was a Nissan spot and you weren't around and I wasn't around and you were like, and we're going to lose the account, and there was a change, We said payments as low as $300 a month, and it was $350, and where are you?
It had something related to do with that. But do you remember
now
also?
I don't need you. I was talking to Linda, $350.
That's what's going to happen. And you had someone working for you, which we won't mention her name because I think she's still working. But remember, she wouldn't give you my messages when I would call.
Yeah, very bad person.
And I'd be like, I did call you back. I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you find out, oh, wait.
Yeah. I remember that person.
Yeah. So the early 90s. Anyway, that was what was running through my head when I was washing dishes the other day. I just figured I'd share it with you.
Yeah. I just can't believe that it was like I went into it when I sold my studio or I gifted my studio. I remember going into the storage closet to look for stuff that I want to take. And it was like a time capsule going backwards. It was like in the front, there was all like thumb drives and stuff like that. And behind that were like stacks of CDs, burnable CDs, blank CDs. And then behind that were a stack of DATs. And behind that was pancakes of 1/4-inch tape, because this is where the industry is going. And then there was nothing because we just emailed everything and kept things on hard drives. There was the delivery method had changed, but a lot has changed. I mean, what people I think fail to see, or at least I haven't found anybody who thinks this way, but we wonder, how we got here. And the thing is that you didn't, I think that Betty White said it the best in 2010 when she was on SNL. And she goes, when I was on TV, we did everything live.
Yeah.
It's not like we wanted to. We just didn't know how to tape things,
Right.
And that's really it,
Yeah.
So I think that technology has, it's created, it breeds last minute. It breeds convenience. It breeds, FedEx was huge when it came out. I can get something to Cleveland overnight, papers. And then when the fax machine came out,
that
it's
was
like, here you go, documents. And then when you sign over a fax machine, and then, beep cell phones. Now I don't have to find a payphone from my beeper. I don't find, and so now, so when I worked on projects a long time ago, we had tons of time. Your mindset, like a program director at a radio station or a creative services director at a television station, would have a meeting with an EP and a news department, whatever, and they're going to, hey, we're going to do a series on the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And when does this? Okay, the series is going to start the middle of next week. And so there was time to go out, do research, find, interview, shoot people, come back, write it, get it, fax it to me to voice, me to track it, get it back. And there were no pickups back then. There was no, we had a revision. None of that existed.
Right.
They were because you didn't think that this line, unless it was factually incorrect, which,
right.
You weren't in a hurry back then. So it wasn't. It was always factually correct to get it done. And so you didn't even think that you could get a quick revision. You didn't even think it.
Wasn't
So
even a possibility.
everything was on this kind of taking a bus instead of an airplane type of an attitude. And, or like now it's like Star Trek transporting. It's like, there it is. I just went and then there I am.
Instantaneous.
And so what has happened is over time, deadlines have gotten shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter because we can deliver things so much quicker over the internet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what that has also created is a tremendous amount of anxiety and indecision on the part of the producer or the executive producer or the writer. And that has flown down that has kind of flowed down to the talent, right? And so think about it. Back in the day, I would do promos or liners or something for a radio station, put it on a reel of tape, take it to FedEx, they get it the next day, and then they would produce it or whatever. Or vice versa. I would get some VO person would do it and I would get it on a tape, put it together that next day, FedEx it out that night, and it would get there the next day.
Right.
And everybody was just so ahead with their promotions, their ideas, their whatever. And so now you're tied to the computer. You're tied to your phone. You're tied because everything is like last minute. I did an entire, news open yesterday for a TV station. And then like 20 minutes later, they sent an entire new open.
Wow.
Because they wanted to rearrange the story idea. Okay, we're dumping this number 3 story. We're dumping that. We're making a new number 1 of a 3-part tease. We're making a new number 1, a new number 2, and then we'll make number 2, number 3. And this airs in 40 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
The open to the news.
Wow.
Like tonight, next. It's like number 1, number 2, number 3. That changed. Literally, I've gotten changes in, I swear to God, 10 minutes before hit time.
Wow.
That means an editor is sitting there, needs to drop it, throw it all together, and export it into a system so it plays on TV in 10 minutes.
I would get revisions for the live reads, the live announce. And right before I'm about to announce Fran Drescher, they've just rewritten her bio, and she's standing on the side of the stage, and I'm there, and they're like, no, you can't say that. And I'm just like, oh, God.
They're writing it down and putting it in front of you.
Yes, and I have like that bead of sweat here, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so nervous.
And so that's it. But the entire, I think that humanity has just in this generation has come to expect it.
Oh yeah,
I want a song right away. I want a movie right away.
Well, it's the same thing with learning voiceover. They want to learn it instantly.
And they want to be successful at it and making money in it in a day.
Yeah.
I'm a voiceover, and we've got decades of this.
I had a 15-year-old kid who hired me to do an assessment with him last week. And there I am on Zoom, waiting for the assessment to start. And all of a sudden he logs in and he's on his scooter outside. So he plans on reading a script And I'm like, what are you doing? You know,
Right.
he's like, oh, I got to get home. Okay, I'll be home in 2 minutes. Oh, red light. Hold that red light. Oh, make the left. And I'm hearing his little journey as he gets himself up to his room. Now, the assessment's only 20 minutes. Now we're already 10 minutes in.
Right.
And so I said, why don't we just reschedule? Because we're not going to have time to do this. No. I'm good. Finally gets everything. And he says, this isn't cutting into my time, right? I go, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. It's a 20-minute assessment, or my favorite. How long is the 20-minute assessment? It's 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I rescheduled him kindly. Next day, we do connect. And he just starts saying to me, I just want to get this done quickly. It's something that I want to do.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, that's not a possibility. You know, and he's like, well, I just want to, this is what I want to do. So I'm like, well, I'm not the coach for you. You know, so I sent him off. But it's that instantaneous attitude and the frustration that comes with it of what really I have to actually, you know, think and work on my craft.
It's just all about
frustrating.
It's all about them.
Yeah. It's
I don't mean that in a
frustrating.
mean way. I don't.
But it's how
I'm not trying
everything
to be
else
mean.
is, which is why they're thinking this is also how it is.
Because everything around them works that way.
Right.
They get everything. They're hungry. They call DoorDash or Uber Eats, and it comes to them. I have never ordered groceries from. I haven't done that. Where you pick the groceries and somebody brings it to your house and here's your order.
I've done that a
I've
few
never
times.
done it. Not that I don't believe in it. I just have never gotten a part of that mentality.
Yeah.
I go down 20 stories, get in my car, and drive to the grocery store and walk in the middle of the day if I'm busy. I never think about, I need.
Yeah.
I don't think that way. And like I said before, it's not that I'm old or just.
It's not how you operate.
It's just it's how I operate. But this right here,
I know. It's so annoying.
But it's not going anywhere. That's how people communicate. And
I had to set up
it's funny. You ever take
focus.
What's that?
I had to set up the focus feature on my phone that when I arrive to work, you know, the geo tracking thing, my phone only allows calls from like 2 people and no other notifications, because I would be here working and my watch would be going off and my phone's going off. And I'm like, I can't concentrate. I can't focus. I need this time.
Right.
But you have to kind of set up those controls in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just have a mentality with it. I mean, I don't mind.
You get a lot of instantaneous things though from work.
What's that?
You get a lot of instantaneous requests for work.
I do. But I'm
they
not
come from
social.
email?
You know, I don't really email. Yeah. And my clients have my phone number. They can text me.
Yeah.
Hey, I just emailed you something or whatever, but I don't care. But I don't have a social load, you know, that's always pulling on me. You know what I mean? I remember talking to producers who were in their 40s now. And I said, how much of the day do you spend on Facebook? Because that's what was big back then, not Instagram or TikTok, was Facebook. And she was also trying to find somebody to date. So she was on Tinder, Match, eHarmony.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself how much that social media ruins productivity, right? But when that's your whole life, when your whole life is that, I get in my car and I pull up to a light, I look in my back through my rear view, and someone's always on the phone. Mm-hmm. Unless they're 80, they're on their phone.
Yep.
They're talking. They're texting.
They can't just sit and wait for the light to change.
No, not in a million years. And then there's the ones that'll do all that crap while they're driving.
Oh, right. I know.
And you just hope that you're not the one in front of them.
Right.
Because they'll hit you. They'll hit you. And then you don't even know what their conversation is about.
Right.
You know, could it be, I'm breaking up with you. And to the person in front of you, you know? So you just don't know. So we've kind of tapped into a bunch of stuff. I think that the younger generation out there listening to this is just kind of probably looking at me going, boomer, which I'm not. I'm younger than a boomer. But that they're going like,
I had a student call me a fossil the other day. He goes, "You're a fossil," because I'm in my 50s. And I think he was trying to be funny and cute. He's a cute kid.
I'm surprised that he came up with that word.
Well, I know. And I said, how old's your dad? He goes, 52. I go, that's how old I am. Yeah, right. He's a fossil too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just now, I did that wedding in I did that wedding in New York. And the groom's dad was my age.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I love his son. His son is great. I'm like, how old are you? He's like 30. And I'm like, right, you're 30. And I'm 52. So
Right.
that's right. Your dad was 22 when you were born. That's normal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, no. Yeah. So that's starting to slide. And it will continue to slide more and more and more, where the people that I'm working could be my kids.
Yes.
It's
That's
not
crazy.
It's rare that most of the people I'm working with are my age, or maybe 10 years younger than me, maybe 15, 35, 39, things like that. But it's coming.
Yeah, I work in the 30 to 40 range. Seems to be the clients are in that range.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know what someone in their 20s would think about this conversation. I mean, to me, maybe they would look at us like when we were in our 20s, listening to someone talk about what it was like to be in World War II.
right.
There were tanks everywhere, and there were planes flying, and things were blowing up, and we didn't know if we were going to survive. And you're going, that
What?
sucks.
Thanks,
That
Grandpa.
sucks. But think about how we thought about it. We weren't going, really?
I have
Tell me what it was like to be in Vietnam. We didn't.
I
we
have
don't
several students
care.
that kind of run the gamut. So they go from like 18. Well, no, I even have some younger kids that come. And then I have a lot of people in their early 20s. And they're all creativity focused. So I find that I can bond with them on that level. So with performance and creativity and expression, especially because they're all interested in video games and animation. And so that's how I can bond with them. Because otherwise, one I asked the other day, I go, do you remember Masterpiece? Do you know what Masterpiece Theater is? And he's looking at me like,
You know what
"No."
TV is? You know what PBS is?
No,
You know,
yeah.
Did I tell you this? I was up
Doesn't
in
know.
Georgia not too long ago, and I was talking. I had to do some work up there I had to do some stuff, and I was up there, and I was talking to the lady at the desk, and she was like, "What do you do?" And I said, "I do voiceover." And I said, "I'm a voice of a station in Atlanta." And she's like, "Oh, which one?" I said, "Blah." She goes, "Oh, that's you. Oh my God, that's amazing." Which is the adulation is wonderful when they can appreciate it. And then there's a girl standing next, and she was like the head of technology or something for the company. That was her division. She was like 32, and she's just sitting there like I'm speaking Chinese. She doesn't have it.
different
She has no
language.
clue what we're talking about. And she's been working there for 5 years, and she knows this woman. And this woman's saying, "Oh, wow. So you do like the news?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, that's pretty wild." And I looked at her and I actually said, "Do you know what we're talking about?" She goes, "No." I said, do you watch TV? She goes, "I don't know what channel 46 is." I don't even know.
Right.
I said,
right.
"So you don't watch TV?" And she goes, "Well, I watch shows." I said, "Streaming?" She goes, "Netflix, Hulu." I said, "Do you ever turn on television?" She goes, "To watch Netflix." I said, "So you don't like turn on NBC or CBS?" She goes, "I don't even know where that is.
Wow.
I don't know what's on it. I don't care." And I'm like, what do you, she goes, I'm on Instagram and I just find what everybody's watching. They all want to watch the new whatever. And then I binge watch, whatever.
Right.
So, and people in their cars, even though radio's a huge medium, people in their cars are pretty much on their phones the whole time. They're not cranking up and if they are listening to music, it might be their own music. So,
Right.
but so everything is sliding. It's a generation. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's from behind that. I don't.
Well, it's good. It's important to keep up with it, and it's important to stay knowledgeable. We can't.
But I always told myself when I was younger, I said, "I'm going to be cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to be cool, and I'm going to the kids are just going to. I'm going to be one of them.
I know.
This is really cool." And I was able to pull that off, through my 20s, and because I thought 20s was old back then, and 30s, and now in my 50s, and they don't. I listened to my daughter pull up. She's on the phone with me and on her speakerphone in her car, and she pulls up to a Starbucks to order something. And I swear that we talk the same. And she's kind of short about that. "Hey, do you have any blah, 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 whatever? Do you have any ham Swiss Gouda wraps today?" And they're like, "Let me check." And I'm like, God, that was kind of short and rude, but it wasn't. But
Yeah.
because I'd be
They don't
like,
take it
"Hey,
that
how
way.
you doing today?" And they're like, "Fine. Why are you asking me? I don't care." So it's just that. And she gets over there and then she has this conversation, this really quick back and forth conversation with the person at the drive-thru, and it's all great. I try to mimic that. I go to a Starbucks and I'll pull up to the drive-thru and I'll say, and they'll go, how can I help you? And I'll go, yeah, I want a tall white mocha frap. And do you have a protein bistro? Do you have any protein bistro boxes? I'm sorry, what? It's like, do you have any protein bistro boxes? She goes, I'll have to check. She doesn't do that with my daughter. and she comes back. She goes, yep, we have one. Okay, so I'd like one of those. Okay. And just the Frappuccino? Yeah. Okay. Pull around. It's just like, what?
You're not cool. You're not cool.
Exactly. I'm not. And I have to deal with that.
Yeah, we all do.
And she just.
It's just the reality of it.
It's just something that is just there. It's and how we're looked at by, 2-3 generations below us. It's just, this is the way it is.
Because I have students, I have to try to keep up with what they're looking at, what they want to perform.
But do they look to you as knowledgeable, or do they look to you as, I got to do this to do what I want to do?
No, the majority of them are doing it to improve on their performance abilities. So they come to me for like techniques and things that they can do behind the mic.
That's good. And obviously you can tell if they care, or if they're grasping it, or if they respect you. But
manga decks is like a really big thing right now that they like to read, and that's the old Japanese animation, and you have to read it from right to left, and it's so difficult, but it's like, okay, I need to know. This is what some of the students like to do.
What's the purpose of that? Why? Where does it get them?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. It's what they want.
So it could be culture. It could be a fad. It could be because people. That's just it. People don't. I'm sounding like in my day, but I'm not really. It's just what stimulates the young mind. And it's just whatever they just can thumb up, how fast they can thumb up on a phone and read about.
I know.
Whoever. And that is what satiates them. That's what fills them. And it's not anything that's what I would consider depth or dimensional or learning or connecting or conversing. How long have we been on talking right now?
An hour.
And I can't think of the last time I saw a 22-year-old talk for an hour.
Right.
This way, maybe.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not that
different.
It's wrong.
It's just different.
It's just different. This is how they communicate. I think that a lot of anxiety and disconnection and depression and just feelings of dread and everything come from this only because there's not this.
Right. The lack of social connection in person.
Right. It's like when you see kids, like horrible stories about kids in foster homes, they have no parent. They sit there and they go like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's not a parent doing this. It's just so I don't know. We may come full circle with it. Just everything. They always say that that everything, history repeats itself. And so AI may go, people might sour on AI and just go, God, we want so much more of this.
I feel it's going to go in that direction eventually.
Yeah. People may start souring on social and there might be a whole, almost like a Me Too movement. Something will happen and somebody will say, this is not what we do. This is what we do. This is the best way to communicate. And humans are amazing people,
Yeah. And we will rebound and we'll find a new way.
And I think so. So, but
thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
We covered a few things. We covered the trailers. We talked about the producers. But yeah, a lot of fantastic information. And we talked about how you yelled at me when I was 24 years old.
I still don't remember why. As far as I'm concerned, it was your fault.
I'm sure it was.
Should I apologize now?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm really sorry I yelled at you.
Okay, thank
Whatever
you.
the reason was for. It was probably not a nice thing to do. And now, how many years ago was that?
24, 20,
30.
A lot, a long time.
If it's I'll tell you, and I'll be completely honest. No, if 25 or 30 years ago I yelled at you and it made that much of an impression and an impact on you to where it did actually scar you and make you bring it up, I am truly sorry.
Oh, thank you.
So, absolutely.
It's just a memory. It's just a memory.
Yeah, really good one. Thank you for telling the world. Appreciate it. This is how you get your revenge.
This is how
thousands of people are going to watch this. Brian Lee is a dick.
I'm all about sharing truth and honesty.
Right. Thank
here.
you. All right. Well,
thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Now I'm going to go work.
Yes.
And all my very best to you. And so long, everybody.
Well, this wraps up another episode of the Voiceover Gurus podcast. We'll see you real soon, but here is Brian Lee to play us out.
Play us out. What does that mean, to play us out?
Thanks for listening to the Voiceover Gurus podcast. Real talk about the voiceover industry. Learn more about us and get coaching at voiceover.guru.